Hi everybody, Indah Melindasari here again. Hope everyone is safe and well. Here is a roundup of some of the latest changes from May 2021. Part 1. Updates from 2020-21-22 budget. Migration program intake for 21-22. Work limit increase for international students. Validity extension period for sponsored parent temporary visa. Payment pilot to support migrant and refugee women. Part 2. Update on borders and travel restrictions, including Australian Tourism Minister stated that Australian international border may not open until late 2022. Australian international travel in 2021. Part 3. Other changes and news, including permanent resident granted after 1st of January 2022, forced to wait 4 years for benefits. Update for income threshold and exemption for Visa 189 New Zealand stream. Maximum amount of family and parent visa grant announced for 2020-2021. Alright, so let's start part 1. Updates from 2020-21-22 budget. Today we will start off with what is always the most anticipated news when the budget is released, which is the numbers for migration intake. These are the best sign of which way Australia is going when it comes to welcoming immigration. It is not the most positive news for migration this year, as the numbers will be staying at the same lower level as they were last year. Many potential migrants were hoping for an increase as an international travel is opening up more in the rest of the world with the distribution of vaccines. The intake for the skilled migration program will stay at 76,000 places. 50% of these places will go to skilled visas, while the rest will be shared amongst employer-sponsored, business and investment and global talent programs. The same 77,300 places have been allocated for the family migration program. There will be a continued focus on onshore applicants to reduce the onshore partner visa pipeline. There will also be 13,750 places for the humanitarian program, which includes the protection visa, refugee visa, temporary protection visa, safe haven enterprise visa, and global special humanitarian visa. Moving on from there, the only update for international students that come out of the budget was the news that in response to the struggles that the hospitality and tourism sector has faced since the early pandemic, the Australian government announced to increase flexibility for student visa holders to work beyond the 40 hours fortnight working time limit. It is only applicable for international students who work in the hospitality and tourism and other critical sectors. Hospitality and tourism will now be included along with the aged care workers, health workers helping with the effort against COVID-19, and those employed in agriculture sector as occupation where international students will be allowed to work beyond the 40-hour limit. This means that international students and other temporary visa holders working in the hospitality and tourism sector will be able to apply for the subclass 408 COVID-19 event pandemic visa up to 90 days before the existing visa expires, and then remain in Australia for up to 12 additional months. Coming to parents' news, for the sponsored parent temporary visa holders who cannot enter Australia due to the travel restriction, they will be given an extension of the validity period by 18 months, hopefully giving them enough time till the border reopens so they can enter Australia to see their families without having to reapply for a new visa. Lastly, for our budget updates, the government is providing funding of $29.3 million due to the increased demand for domestic and family violence services among migrant women during the pandemic. The budget is used to support the refugee women and other migrant women's safety, social, and economic inclusion. Additionally, the Australian government will establish a new visa support and coordination functions visa as a dedicated domestic violence visa support team to protect the refugee and other migrant women. Part 2. Update on borders and travel restrictions. Probably the questions we get asked the most about the current situation in Australia is when the border will reopen for international travel. Well, after the release of the budget and recent comments made by the Tourism Minister, Dan Tehan, it seems like this will not be happening until late 2022. In an interview, Mr. Tehan did say that the situation may change before then, and it is hard to give an exact as to when it will be. In the meantime, he hoped that more travel bubbles could be established with other low-risk countries to allow a certain amount of tourism back into the country. There was hope that on a state and territorial level, that there will be what the government referred to as a small pace programs to be able to start bringing international students back in the slowly by later this year. The Australian government also has considered vaccine passports as a solution to reopening the international arrivals. Travelers who wish to enter Australia could provide a vaccine passport, a COVID-19 vaccination status through a new pre-check in digital declaration once the international travel reopen. The new pre-check in digital declaration will replace the old regime of filling out a form shortly before landing in Australia. Michael Pezzullo, Home Affairs Secretary, expects the federal government's digital passenger declaration can be trialed by early 2022. The new system could recognize both digital or other forms of international vaccination certificates. It will help to mitigate the risk posed by the use of fake vaccination certificates. He is also confident that the new system will be ready to operate at scale to concert with the federal budget's assumption of international travel returning in the middle of 2022. In contrast to the news that have been put out by the government, Qantas Airline is still sticking to its first target to resume flights on almost all its international overseas routes on 31st of October 2021. However, they will be ready to push back the date if needed. So only time will tell when exactly the borders will be open. Part 3. Other changes and news. On to some other immigration news now. In a cost-cutting measure, the government has announced that starting January 1st, 2022, those that are granted permanent residency will now have to wait 4 years to be able to access government benefits. Previously, the waiting period to receive welfare payments depended on the migrant situation and visa type. Permanent residents had access to Family Tax Benefit B immediately, and some visa classes were exempted from the waiting period. Additionally, several payments, including the care payment, dad and partner pay, parental leave pay, and Family Tax Benefit A, only had a 2-year waiting period for migrants. However, the new measure will bring most of the subsidized and visa classes, including Australian permanent residency visas, in line with the current 4-year waiting period to access job seeker or study and youth allowance payments. Moving on, there has been an update for the income threshold and exemption for Visa 189 New Zealand stream. For this 2020-21 income year, the department proposed 53,900 Australian dollars as the minimum amount of taxable income that Visa 189 New Zealand stream must meet to satisfy the primary criteria. The amount is the same as the minimum amount of income specified for each income year for 2013-14 to 2019-20. A new reason for exemption has been added to meet this threshold as well. Previously, you could claim the following exemption: family court and parenting exemption, compensation claim exemption, and parental or carers leave waiver. You may now also claim an exemption on the income threshold if your work and income has been affected by the COVID-19 pandemic. Lastly, today, we have the announcement of the new quota for the parent and family visas for the 2021-2022 year. The new maximum amounts for the year are contributory parent visa around 3,600, parent visas 900, and other family visas 500. This is a decrease from the last financial year, as it was around 6,069 for contributory parent visas, 1,275 for parent visa, and 562 for other family visas. This is in line with the announcement in the budget that the focus for the family migration program will be on the partner visa applications. Well, that's the roundup of all the changes and updates from May 2021. If you have any questions about how these changes may affect you or benefit you, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Leave a comment or question and we will get back to you as soon as possible. You can find our contact details in the description and in the comments, so feel free to send an email or call with an inquiry, and our advisors will be there for all your visa needs. Wonderland Consulting is here to help you. As always, thank you for watching.